Welcome to today's episode of the Heaven and Elle podcast. I am your host, Elle Edwards, delighted as ever to be here with you. Today is potentially a really short episode because I asked Holy Spirit this morning, what are we doing for the podcast? And he said, you can bring me all things. And I said, okay, we know that. He said, yes, but somebody needs a reminder. I'm like, okay. He said, you need a reminder. Oh, okay. He said, what's bugging you right now? And so then I told him. And then he shared some thoughts about that thing. One of which was, suck it up, buttercup. Just get on with it. Don't worry about it. But the reminder for me and the reminder for you, and like I say, for most people who enjoy the podcast, this will not be new. This will not be news. But the reminder is that you can bring all things and anything and chat to God about it. Any whisper that you hear in your head that thing is too small for God to worry about, or too insignificant, or not holy enough, or not God enough, that's all nonsense. It is a lie from the enemy. Remember what we said last week? There is nothing that he loves more. There's nothing the enemy loves more than to stop you talking to God. That is his number one focus, stopping you walking things out, stopping you doing relationship. And his only playbook is to lie. And so any lie that comes up like that, remember what we said last week, you can turn that around and sort of stick your tongue out at the enemy by taking that thing that he meant to stop you being in relationship and actually go and talk to God about that thing too. So another reminder from last week, it really is the reminder episodes. I also do have a Bible verse for you today. Now, I found this one through a series of coincidences, God incidences, as I was preparing what I was going to share in church yesterday. We were exploring the verse that you and I explored here in the podcast last week, seek first the kingdom. And we were breaking down, as I was looking in my concordance for all of the different uses of the word seek. And I came across Isaiah chapter 65. Now, this verse is really useful. If ever you hear a whisper that you are not hearing from God because you've done something wrong, or you're not hearing from God because you're too sinful, or you're not hearing from God because you messed up too much. What I'm about to read to you now is your take that lies verse. It's Isaiah 65. I'm going to read the first couple of verses. This is God speaking through Isaiah. God said, I revealed myself to those who did not ask for me. I was found by those who did not seek me. To a nation that did not call on my name, I said, here I am, here I am. All day long I have held out my hands to an obstinate people who walk in ways not good, pursuing their own imaginations. God is calling out to every single person. He's whispering to you, calling to you, wooing you. And so if he's calling to every single person, even the people who don't yet want to let them love him, don't yet want to let him love them, that was hard to get the right way round, how much more can you expect to hear from him? Because you want to hear from him. Remember, intentional, expectant relationship. That piece is where we start with all of this. And I said this last week. Yes, I'm all about you being you, and I'm here to empower you and equip you and inspire you to be who God made you to be. But it starts with relationship. And if that was only the ever piece that you ever focused on, you'd still be you. Because as I joked yesterday in church, it would be like if I suddenly woke up tomorrow morning with an overwhelming desire to bake a loaf of bread for every single person on my street. And but I did it in relationship and said, what do you think about that, God? He'd be like, are you sure, Elle? Do you know what you like at cooking? And I'd be like, oh yeah, that's true. Okay, what can I do to show love to the people on my street then, God? And he'd give me an idea that fitted in better with who I am. And so it's that reminder. You can be you in relationship with God, but when you be in relationship with him, when you ask him those questions, when you share your heart with him, when you share every little thing that's on your mind, you cannot help but be you. And that's exciting to me. And it was a bit of a ooh when I heard that one last week from Holy Spirit. And I think we did unpack that a little bit last week as well. So when I say this is the episode of reminders, I really am not kidding. But more than anything, right now today, Holy Spirit is reminding you, talk to me. Tell me what's on your heart. What is bothering you? What are you excited about? What are you frustrated about? What are you itching to get started with? Share all of those things. Talk to him. And then, don't forget, you also want to wait and pause and listen to hear a reply, because you can talk to God like you would talk back and forth to your very best friend. Yesterday morning, I was lying in bed at about 7:45, and it was the weekend, so there was no rush to get up. But I heard this nudge, "Come on, Elle, get up. I've got something to share with you." I'm like, "Oh, really? Kind of comfy in bed right now. If I close my eyes, I can go back to sleep." And he, "No, get up." I'm like, "Okay." So I did. And I got up and I made a cup of coffee and I got my notebook and I wrote down some of the things that was on my mind and said, "Okay, God, what's on your heart?" And then I wrote down everything that came to mind. And the stuff that he shared, I'm like, wow, I'm so glad I got up. Can you imagine if I'd stayed in bed? Now, of course, God is gracious enough and loving enough that those whispers, he's not going to just whisper to you one time. There's a verse somewhere, I think it's in Job or Joel, there's somewhere, I can't remember it, where it talks about people having been called out to in dreams once, twice, 3 times. So I'm not suggesting that if you, the first time, you sort of go, yeah, I'm going to go back to sleep. I'm not suggesting that God will go, okay then, and storms off in a huff. It doesn't work like that. He loves you. That's how we might react as humans. But remember, we are just a whisper of how God reacts. And the best parts of us, the most loving parts of us, the really exciting, great parts of us, those are the merest whisper of how God does life, because he's God. We're made in his image. And so that reminder, all of those things that are niggling at you, whether they're positive things, whether they're things you're excited about, or whether they're things that are just totally doing your head in, you can talk to God about all of those things. Not just that you can talk to him. He wants you to talk to him. He's inviting you to talk to him. He has an opinion on all of this stuff. There's that verse in the Bible that talks about my thoughts are not your thoughts and my ways are not your ways. And sometimes we take that verse to mean that God is far away and grand and, untouchable. And yes, he is grand and amazing and has vast thoughts compared to us. But he's right next to you. He's as close as the air that you breathe. And remember what we said before, that reminder, that picture of God of being far away and aloof, that's from ancient Greek philosophy. It's not Christian. It's not in the Bible. Hebrew, the first picture we have of God, Hebrew is a relational language. It is no accident that God first represented himself to the world through a language that is relational. And so, yes, this episode has been packed full with lots of different reminders, but the underlying one is that one where you're being invited to share everything that's on your heart with God. Because if it's on your heart, it's on his heart. Those things that you're excited about, he's excited about. And so you're invited to step into and explore all of that stuff, knowing that he loves you. You can trust him. He's got your back. So I do hope that whoever needed to hear this reminder today, I do hope that it is of encouragement to you. To which point, if you know somebody who you believe needs this encouragement, share this episode with them. You can share it out through all the different ways. It goes out on lots of different social platforms and the podcast and Alexa and whatever. I only know who I know, but you know people who I don't know. And so together we can encourage people and share that out more widely. And final little announcement as well, reminder, we are this week, and this is quite a time sensitive one, we are having our playground meetup on Wednesday on Zoom. So if you're not a member of the Itchy Soul Playground, but you love what we explore here and you'd like a safe space to be youier in community, intentional expectant relationship, but in community exploring this together, I would invite you to go and check out the Itchy Soul Playground. youier.com/join is where you can do that. In the meantime, as always, thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me to share this with you. I do hope you have a delightful rest of your day, and we shall be back tomorrow. Remember, noon tomorrow, noon the next day, back to 9 a.m. UK time on Thursday. Housekeeping announcement. See you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.